Hi everyone, CG Seb here, and we're back for another Fluent Materializer tutorial. So Fluent Materializer is a texturing add-on within Blender. You can find the link in the description. And for those who already have it, let's start. So the goal of this is to make this grenade texture here. I will not detail the crates and the background. We will work only on this for this video. So first of all, I'm gonna remove all of this and I'm gonna show you the full process of the texture. So you can find also this grenade model because I didn't do it. It was free on CG Trader, so you can find the link to download only this model. So okay, so let's start with white model and let's see how I make the texture. So first of all, I usually use for the main texture, usually use 3 layers over there. The reason why is that because I want the main texture here. I usually want the imperfection, like the scratches and the edge wear, like you have a little bit of destruction on the edges, to be this. And I usually use this one to add a little bit more details at the end. It depends, but usually I start with 3 layers for the main parts. So I would like to make it a little bit like I showed you in the first at the beginning. So I'm gonna start with this, put it like grayish, and then because this is, as you can see, a little bit too shiny, we want it to be a little bit more rough. For this one, I'm gonna go to the imperfection here and use the liquid stain number 2, which is a really nice one. And you can plug the roughness here. And this is really shiny because the minimum roughness over there it's 0.1. So I think we'll put like 0.4, and for the maximum roughness will be around 0.6. So I think that is a nice result. Right here on the right one, we cannot really see it because the light is not like eating in the right direction, but for this one we will be able to see it. And if we zoom in, we see those here marks. If it's too strong, you usually need to lower the gap between those two. So if, for example, I put 0.5, then we will be able to see less the difference between those two. So we can put it like this. Like I think 0.6, it's nice. It adds a little bit details on this one, so it make them a little bit different. All right, so then we want to damage this, and this will be this layer, and we will affect this with this mask. So first of all, I'm gonna make this metallic, and I think 0.3 is a little bit too shiny for the metal, so we're gonna start with this. First of all, I'm gonna select this layer mask, and then press F and all edges. Boom. Now we see this. The reason why we have this is because the distance is actually too much. So I usually put this, and it looks a little bit more accurate. This will of course depends on the scale of your model, but for this one you really need to put like a very small distance. After that, we're going to use, like we used to, a grunge here, and probably grunge number 3. Plug the result into the texture, and this will be a little bit more random over there, over the edges. So I'm gonna play a little bit with the scale because this is too much. Like here, it's a little bit more accurate, and then of course reduce this, put this here. You don't know what? I'm not gonna use the normal for this one. I think those look pretty good. All right. So that's for this. And then we're gonna use probably other um, other imperfections like scratches and stuff. So we're gonna need here to press F and then lighten and put it this here. By the way, if you don't have the add-on enable, the Node Wrangler add-on, which comes with Blender, it's free. You just need to enable it in the preferences. Enable it because it will help you for the cables and the links between the nodes. This is pretty useful. So I'm gonna do this, and then we're gonna use some scratches. Okay, let's go. So we go to imperfections, scratches. I'm usually using those because those are really nice. And then plug the mask here to mix those edge and those scratches. So that's pretty cool. This looks a little bit too big, so I'm gonna reduce, like increasing the scale, which will automatically reduce the size of them. Also, we have a little bit too many of them, so 0.8 to make them a little bit more thorough. So that's pretty nice. And the reason why we don't really see them is because we need to plug here the normal of the scratches into this. And now we can start seeing some stuff happening, especially here. So that's cool. It's pretty cool. Okay. Now what we can do is actually add some details here because we added some details over the edges and some scratches. And what you can do is actually go here, duplicate this lighten node, put it here, and we're gonna add here another grunge number 3. So we can select it here, Shift D, duplicate, and plug the result over there. Now, as you can see, it's a little bit too much. And what we're gonna do is actually change a little bit the scale. So first of all, I'm gonna put like something like 0.5. And I'm gonna change obviously the seed because the placement will be different than the one that we see here on the edges. Otherwise, if we keep the same seed, it's gonna actually match over there, as you can see everywhere you have edges. So change a little bit the seed to make it a little bit different. And for this one, we're gonna play with the blur and we're gonna play with the details. So actually the details, as you can see, if you reduce it, it makes them more soft. And if you increase the details, it will actually make those small here, like make more cloudy. So we're gonna put this as 11 to make it less detailed. And we're gonna lower a little bit the blur. So the blur is around here, and then the coverage, of course, is really high. So we want something like that. As you can see, just a little bit of marks, a little bit everywhere. And because we play with the blur and the details here, those are a little bit like small dots separated from each others. So I think this is nice. You can obviously change the seed to see which one you prefer, but I think the one we had was really cool. This one is nice. Okay, great. So I think we're done with those two layers around here. I don't know yet if I will add more details to this, but I think we're pretty good to go for the main part. So that's pretty nice. Um, Great. So now we have the rings. Um, so for the rings, I'm gonna press F, and then probably, let me think about it. Probably we can put 2 layers. I think 1 layer will be enough. So when you have only 1 layers, because if I put 2 layers and then I only use the one on the top, it doesn't make sense to add a mixed layer and everything. You can just simply do it everything in the principal BSDF because we have the same plugs here and here. What I will do for this one, I'm gonna make it metallic, obviously, and make it probably a little bit more like that. For this one, we don't really see it because actually the light is hitting this and we see it very bright. So I'm gonna work more on the other one that you can see here. We can see the results a little bit better. So for this one, I'm gonna make it very simple, just metallic aluminum, and then you can go to imperfections, and we're gonna use the liquid stain number 2, like we did for this one. Plug the roughness over there, and as you can see, it's a little bit too much, the difference between those two. So I'm gonna probably put 0.4 and 0.6, or maybe more, 0.7, because it is, yes, nice. Okay, and the scale is actually, let me put it to 1. Great. We see here the details. Don't know if you can see with the noise and the YouTube compression, but we have a little bit of details here. I think that's pretty good. All right, so we can start with this, and we can start with another color now. Let's stay top. By the way, if you don't have the materials like I have on the right, it is because I removed all the materials from the model that you can download on CG Trader, because it was a little bit weird, like every part has a separate materials, and I wanted to be like this part has the same material as this and this and this. So I removed all the materials and I reassigned all the materials to the different parts I wanted. So that's why you will probably not have the same materials here. I really recommend you to remove all the materials and assign it. It's pretty simple. You go to edit mode and you go around your model, and then let's say you want to texture those parts, then you can hover your mouse here and then press L, and then press L, L, and because those parts are uh, separate parts, you can actually do that. So you do this, you go here, you add a new material, and you click assign. You add a new material here, and then you click assign, and it will assign the material to what you selected. So this was how to do it, and this is why you probably don't have the same as mine. All right, so let's go for the top now, and I want to make it like a little bit popping out, so probably something red like this, and then reduce the saturation, and I think that's pretty good. For this one, I'm gonna make it very simple. Just go to the normals and add a grain here. The grain is allowing you to add some details, and this is pretty cool. Actually, let me do this so we can see better. And here you can see the grain. I'm gonna make it a little bit stronger. So the size of those grain noise will actually depends on the size of your object. So here I have small objects. So I'm gonna actually make it the scale bigger so it is smaller here. So it's very subtle details, but I think it's enough for this part, which is pretty good. Okay. And then we have the last part, which is all those details over there and over there, those small white part that you can see. And for this one, I'm going to make it a little bit more complex than the two that we did before, but this will be only 2 layers. I think this is enough because this is only only small details. So usually what I do is the smaller the details is on the scene, the lesser I have, the less layers I have on my material. So for this one, I have a little bit of details, and I want it to pop also. So I'm gonna go for orange color and desaturate it a little bit, make it a little bit more like this. So you really don't want to make a big gap between the saturation of your colors. Usually when you have colors on one object, um, unless this is the purpose of it, if you want to make something really flashy and this is the theme of the scene, but usually you want to try to keep the same saturation over your different colors here. And the same for the luminosity, like the brightness over there. You usually don't put to, like, for example, if you put this looks weird because the difference between those two is too much. So I think this orange looks fine. I'm gonna actually use this and use all edges. So the same here, Fluent, all edges, put it there. This is completely white because the distance is actually a lot. So boom, you can see a little bit better here. I'm gonna reduce here 0.2 because this is very small object. You need to reduce it a lot. All right, so same technique, branches, number 3 results into texture, and you have something more random here. Can play with the seed to see what you like. This one is pretty nice. And here, I'm gonna put 1. And I think this is pretty cool. Great. And now I want to add a little bit more details to it. So I'm gonna add some scratches over there, imperfections, and long scratches. Boom. Gonna plug this here. The scale is too low, so input 0.5. So we have smaller scratches. Distortion, coverage, I think that's good. Let's play with the scale, the seed. Great, as you can see over there, we have some scratches. This is very small details, but this is nice to have. All right, so I guess we're good to go. And now I'm gonna actually do an extra step. So this is for people who has DECALMachine. This is a really nice trick that you can do with Materializer and DECALMachine. Is actually if you press D and then add an info decal, so like some text and some stuff. So let's say we're on this one. wait, let me remove those so I can show you how to do it. You need to rotate it ZZ to be on the axis, and then 90. Oh no, it's minus 90. Boom. And then the size. So this is pretty cool technique over there. You're gonna apply here, but then the thing is, this looks new. Like this is the text here. It's not affected by the scratches and everything. And the cool thing is, you can just go here on the texture that it is on, so the core. You can select everything besides the principles PSDF. You do Control C to copy the nodes, and then you go here, you press Control V, you put it on the side over there, and then you can just get here the roughness and the normal. And this will make, for example, here the scratches, you can see it affects the paint. So that's pretty cool. Also, something really nice to do is use a grunge here, grunge number 3, and you can pick the result and plug it into the alpha. And boom, as you can see here, it makes it a little bit destroyed, like it has been used. And this is exactly what we want. So you can then play with the coverage. The more coverage you put, the more the text will appear. So you can play with the coverage, and you can play with the seed, and this is pretty nice. Let me show you a last thing. I'm gonna actually play with this one, I guess. Yes. So let's say I have this, just to show you, and here you can see this is damage, but it doesn't make sense because you can see the metal behind the paints, but you can see here the red of the metal, so it doesn't make sense. So to fix that, you can actually keep this one, which is the one that is actually making this metal. You can Control C, go back to here the decal, and Control V, and then if you move it here, you can simply mix those two to actually affect this. So to do that, you're going to actually press F and multiply. You take it this here and you put this result here. And you can see this is the opposite of what you want, because here the red is only where it is destroyed. And to fix that, you just put an invert node over there, and boom, now it makes sense because the red is also gone where the paint is gone. So this is more realistic. Again, small details, but at the end, it is a really nice touch that you can add to your model. So yeah, that was it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and see you on the next one.